My family invited me to the reunion to brag about my cousin getting into Harvard. As everyone applauded, my grandmother sniffed and said, "Some people just aren't academic." I should have kept my mouth shut and grabbed another beer, but I'd been listening to this crap for 2 hours straight, and honestly, I was done. See, I'm the family disappointment. 26 years old, dropped out of college sophomore year, work construction, live in a cramped studio apartment above Mrs. Yang's Chinese restaurant. The grease smell never really goes away. Meanwhile, my cousin Luke's the family's golden child, Harvard-bound with a full scholarship, honors program, pre-med track. Kid's been getting straight A's since kindergarten while I was getting detention slips. The reunion was at Uncle Steve's house in the suburbs. Perfect lawn, 2-car garage, solar lights lining the driveway. I rolled up in my beat-up Ford pickup, feeling like I was contaminating their property values just by existing. Everyone was gathered around the backyard deck. Adults claimed the patio furniture while kids ran around with water balloons. Classic rock blasted from someone's Bluetooth speaker, competing with the sizzle of burgers on Uncle Steve's grill. "There he is," Aunt Janet announced, waving a wine glass as I walked up. She was already 3 drinks in. "Harvard Medical School, here we come." She gestured toward Luke like he was a prized show dog. Luke stood in the center, tall and lean now, hair perfectly styled. Gone was the awkward kid with braces. This version looked like he belonged in a catalog for successful people. "We're so proud," Uncle Steve added, flipping a burger. "Full ride scholarship. They're practically paying him to attend." My mom spotted me lurking by the cooler and waved me over. She was wearing her nervous smile, the one she gets when she's worried I'm going to embarrass the family. "Luke's been telling us about orientation week," she said. "Sounds amazing, right?" I nodded and cracked open a Coors Light, letting the condensation drip onto my steel-toed boots. The same boots that had been caked with mud that morning, crawling under a house to run electrical lines in 95-degree heat. "You know," Aunt Janet continued, "Luke's going to be a doctor. A real doctor. Finally, someone successful in this family." The comment hit like a slap. Everyone nodded and raised their drinks in a toast. Luke just stood there soaking it up, that smug grin spreading across his face. "Not everyone can be book smart," Uncle Steve added, glancing my way. "Some people are more hands-on. That's valuable too, in its own way." The backyard conversations continued around me. My sister was showing off engagement photos. My other cousin was bragging about his promotion. Everyone had something to celebrate, something that made them worthy of attention. I stood there in my work clothes, dirt still under my fingernails despite scrubbing them raw, invisible, forgettable. The family disappointment who couldn't even finish college. That's when Grandma Helen, perched in her lawn chair like some judgmental queen, looked directly at me and delivered the line that finally broke my patience. "Some people just aren't academic," she said, loud enough for the entire backyard to hear. The whole backyard went dead quiet. 20-something relatives, all eyes on me, waiting for me to shrink away like I always did, waiting for me to mumble something about needing another beer and disappear into the house. Instead, I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. My hands were surprisingly steady. "You're absolutely right, Grandma," I said calmly. "I'm not academic at all." I turned the screen toward the crowd, showing last month's deposit. The number seemed to glow in the afternoon sunlight. Luke squinted at my phone, and his face went completely white. "Union electrician," I explained, "specialized in high-voltage industrial work. Power plants, manufacturing facilities, substations, the dangerous stuff nobody else wants to touch." Aunt Janet's wine glass was frozen halfway to her mouth. Uncle Steve had stopped flipping burgers entirely. My sister's jaw had literally dropped open. "I clear about 15 grand a month," I continued. "Sometimes more if there's overtime or emergency calls. Turns out people pay really well for someone willing to work with electricity that can literally kill you." The silence was so complete I could hear the neighbor's dog barking 3 houses down. Grandma Helen was staring at her hands, her face pale. Even the kids had stopped screaming in the pool. My mom looked like she might cry. My dad had gone completely still, his beer forgotten in his hand. "But hey," I said, raising my beer toward Luke, "I'm sure Harvard's great too, buddy. Maybe in 4 years of undergrad, then 4 years of med school, then however many years of residency while making 60 grand a year, maybe you'll catch up to where I am right now." I set down my bottle on the patio table and walked toward my truck, leaving 27 relatives in stunned silence behind me.